Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing a reading of a new book, Female Academy by Joseph S. Covey. Copyright disclaimer is in the description, so let's get started. This book is dedicated to the class of 1841. Chapter 1. Early September, 1971. It took about 5 hours to drive from Manhattan to Willsboro, a village on the shore of Lake Champlain. In nice weather, it was a beautiful drive. Mostly a throughway, the route took David up the Hudson River Valley and through the Catskills. To him, the peculiarly rounded mountains, worn down by eons of geology, the Hudson cutting through them, had an old soul, an enchanted quality, which inspired an entire movement of romantic landscape painters. In daylight, it was easy to see why. After sundown, those same mountains, full of goblins and secrets, were situated between him and the stars. On this particular night, David Wise drove home, lost in thought. Juggling 2 women wasn't easy. That one of them was a ghost certainly complicated things, but it also had its advantages. For example, awkward encounters at the supermarket or suspicious phone calls were most unlikely. Of course, none of this would make any difference to Angela were she to become aware of the reason for his divided attention. Did it really matter? His interest in Elmira was a mere fantasy. He knew it. The idea that this lovely young woman of the 1840s would have a romantic interest in him, a washed-up 20th century psychologist turned antique dealer, or that any mutual attraction could be advanced in any way, was simply absurd. Elmira had no future. She dwelt in the past, and, well, his past was ruined, a time he never wanted to return to. While the logistics of maintaining his conflicting relationships were manageable, the tension boiling within him wasn't. On one hand, it felt genuinely good to be together again with Angela. He'd missed her sarcastic remarks, her intelligent observations, missed her warm, voluptuous, and responsive body. On their last night of this, their most recent visit, after an evening devoted to Chinese takeout and lovemaking, they'd showered together. Later, skin to skin, Angela's body soft and powdered, David had breathed her in by the lungful. At such moments he loved to comb out her long, straight black hair. He'd done it before, but this night was different. On a whim, he wove her tresses into 2 long braids. In the morning, she brushed out her hair as usual, but the crimped waves aroused some kind of animal desire in him, so much so that David carried her to the bedroom and took her twice more in quick succession. "Wow," she gasped as they lay entangled, spent and catching their breath. "What the hell got into you?" That was them. Tonight, once he left Manhattan and merged onto the throughway, David's attention focused on Elmira. Nail-biting rumination ran amok. What if, thinking him gone forever, Elmira had simply disappeared, vanished into the ether? With no clear idea of where she existed when not materialized in the quiet room, how would he find her? The thought of being unable to find Elmira was, as they used to say in Dr. Quainsberg's office, anxiety-provoking. It stirred up emotions and desires, all of them professionally problematic, possibly unethical. David reflected on the difference between her time, long past, and his complicated present. Elmira came from a world in which doing the proper and selfless thing, chastity and respect, weren't just platitudes. The contrast made clear the features of life in 1971 which turned him off: cynicism, materialism, hedonism, nihilism. All those fashionable isms were destructive. They cheapened everything. But Wise also had legitimate professional interest. In their last session, Elmira seemed to have turned a therapeutic corner. A deep well of guilt, anger, and jealousy had been revealed. That was good, but Wise knew presenting symptoms often indicated far deeper problems. In fact, she'd hinted at something more, a secret that would require courage to face. Was Elmira awakening to her dilemma, estranged from life and afterlife alike? If that was the case, the therapeutic task was clear and profound, nothing less than the transition from life to death she had somehow failed to complete. Such a transition had to have an unifying principle, a name, but he still couldn't bring himself to call it God. Maybe, he mused, that should be his own therapeutic goal. His first night back, David found Elmira on the daybed, reading The Knickerbocker. She put the magazine down, looked up, and smiled. Dr. Wise, it pleases me to see you have returned. I've missed your visits terribly. Is that so? He said, arranging the Kilmos chair and settling in. Yes, it is. In truth, I feared you might not return. You were gone so long. Where were you? Wise suspected the question was born of frustration. Does she feel neglected and unhappy with my absence? There were some things I had to attend to in New York City, important business and personal affairs. I was gone longer than usual, you're right, but now I'm back. We can have a nice, long talk. Elmira seemed immersed in the cover of her magazine, but Wise noted the slightest hint of a smile flicker in the dim light. That would please me, she said. Eager to recapture the therapeutic momentum of their previous session, he said, You seem more at ease when we finished our last conversation. You also told me there was much more you would say if you had the courage. Did I say that? Perhaps I did. I'd love to know what you meant. Elmira paused, appearing to weigh her response. Though you have helped me see certain things, not all of them are easy to face. Indeed, I am finding that sometimes it is better not to know everything. That's an interesting idea. What are the things it's better not to know? She started to strobe like the image from a stop-motion camera. Damn, he'd been too quick, too much in a hurry. David tried to retrieve her, to calm her down, but within seconds, Elmira's voice became garbled. She flickered and was gone.